Hey, listen, welcome to Monday morning. The conversation is about benchmark. Are you the benchmark or are you the bench? Or are you sitting on a bench? Let me explain. Are you the one that people in your community look up to? If you're 22, do all of your 22-year-olds look up to you? If you're 35, do all of your 35-year-olds look up to you? If you're 69, 70, do all of your 70-year-old look up to you? How do you become the benchmark as opposed to sitting on a bench? Does that make sense? How do you become the benchmark to those around you? You got to put in some effort. Got to put in some effort. So we're going to have a conversation about that. This is about living your definite major purpose. So when you grasp the idea, when you grasp the concept that there are people who look up to you. Now, in the Bible, that's a pretty good book, been around for a day or two, a decade or two. The Bible, there's usually two stories. Anybody know what the two stories are? The two stories are the one to follow and the one to avoid. There's a good chance some of the people you hang out with are the benchmark. They are the benchmark of what not to do. How many of you know somebody who's a benchmark of what not to do? Hopefully you're not that one. So how do we shift this? How do we change this? What do we do to make it better? What do we do to enhance our ability? Well, you have to practice on a daily basis. You got to do it on a daily basis. What did you do yesterday to establish your benchmark? What did you do to establish this place, this moment in time where you are the one who can become more of who you want and less of who you don't want to be? What is the example you're looking to leave? Some ways to establish yourself as a benchmark. It's about doing the little things. Here's the little things you could do. If somebody wanted to see the roadmap that you've been on, somebody wanted to follow the terrain that you've covered, somebody wanted to experience the successes and the pitfalls of your life, how would they do that? How would they do that? Is there some place where somebody could follow you on a journey? Is there some place where somebody could follow your journey? Is there some place where somebody could join you on their journey? See, that's the question, is that in order to become the benchmark, people need to know that you're constantly in a state of growth, constantly in a state of accelerating your own capability and capacity. Over time, listen, when I was growing up, how many of you had a little bit of a growth spurt during your youth, right? There was one year I grew about 10 inches in a year. It was uncomfortable, but it was a lot. There was a lot of growth going on. It was just, I hit this growth spurt and just absolutely pants wouldn't fit me. Shoes wouldn't fit me. And it's the moment. How many of you had secondhand clothes, hand-me-down clothes? Well, if you had hand-me-down clothes, drop an H in the chat. Here's why I was excited. I was excited because I finally outgrew all of my cousins. Oh, could you think of when would that have ever been on somebody's goal sheet or benchmark sheet, is to outgrow your cousins? I mean, we were shipping clothes from New York to Ohio. Anyway, so that stopped. My brother started to get those clothes. Now I didn't always get, I went from hand-me-downs to Goodwill, which seemed like it was a great thing because I didn't know the people that wore the clothes. Anyways, my point is this. I set a new benchmark for growth in our family. I set a new benchmark for that. What was working, what was the thing that was the formula changes. The formula was no longer send us cousin Jimmy's clothes or cousin Michael's clothes or cousin Billy's clothes, because they would no longer fit me. Does that make sense? My question to you is, what are you going to outgrow today? What's the philosophy you're going to outgrow? What's the pattern you're going to outgrow? What's the king's new clothes you're going to outgrow? So you can become the benchmark, the new standard for those around you. Are you the benchmark for parenting? Are you the benchmark for being a good daughter, a good son? Are you the benchmark for being a good aunt, a good uncle? Think about it. There's a lot of things that you get measured for. Are you a good benchmark for wellness? Do you take good care of yourself? Do you stretch? Are you the benchmark for stretching? I am the benchmark of what not to do. I am the one to avoid when it comes to stretching. Kathy Ricky, good morning. Good morning, my love. Kathy Rickley. Yay. So here's my question to you. What do you want to establish yourself as the benchmark? Does that make sense? What do you want to establish yourself as the benchmark for in your world? Is it for creativeness? Is it for connection? Is it for follow-up? Is it for sending thank you cards? Are you the benchmark for sending thank you cards? Are you the benchmark for making people feel welcome? Are you the benchmark for introducing people, connecting people? Tammy Mitchell Thrashers, who's a dear friend, part of the inner circle that I'm a part of, she's the connector. She gets identified as the connector. What's the iconic name you want registered with you? Are you the connector? Are you the creator? Are you the make people feel good? Are you the one who makes well, I can see it. What's that dessert? Some of you got to be older to know this. I can see the dessert. It's marshmallows and jello and pineapple and some coconut ambrosia. I think that's it, ambrosia. So are you the one who makes the ambrosia? Are you the one who makes the best fried chicken recipe? Are you the one who makes the best meatloaf? Are you the one who has the best is the best sponsor? Are you the one who's the best follow-upper? Are you the one who's the best one that gives shoulder massages? What are you the benchmark for? And what might scare you, you ready? What might scare you is to find out what people have benchmarked you for. How many of us know some people who struggle and they're the benchmark of struggling? How many of us know people who have certain addictions and they're the benchmark for that addictions? If this makes sense, drop an S in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. What are people benchmarking you for? And this is the part that gets a little scary. What are the people benchmarking you for? What have you set the benchmark for? Follow me? So how do you establish it? First of all, and this is where Napoleon Hill's definite major purpose comes in. This is where Wallace D. Wattles, it's not about doing certain things, it's about doing things in a certain way. This is where Wayne Dyer's statement says, you change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. What do you want to become the benchmark for? Listen, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't mean world class. I want to make that very clear. There is something that you have established yourself as the benchmark for. Could be the one who struggles, could be the one who has no success when dealing with Hershey Kisses. My question to you is this. You already have established a benchmark. What does it look like? If you'd like to change that, if you'd like to shift the benchmark that you've been associated with, if you would like to adjust the benchmark that people have identified you with, you've got to get to work. you've got to get to work. And the best way to change that is if you draw the triangle on the piece of paper, right? The triangle, physiology at the bottom. Physiology is to change your state. If you want to change anything, you have to change your state. Not strategy, not strategy. You can't go out. You're not going to fix your benchmark by strategy. Listen, maybe you can shift this whole thing simply by stepping into the state of an elevated benchmark. Listen, you could be an amazing mom. You say you want to do better. I don't know how you can do any better if you've been working 20 hours a day to do it. Now it comes down to state. Maybe you're a great prospector. Maybe you're a great information giver. Maybe you're a great person who helps people along their path. Maybe if you wanted to elevate that, maybe if you wanted to elevate this benchmark that has been branded upon you, is the way you do that is by elevating your state. How do you elevate your state? You got to know where you're at on the ladder, right? Jim Rohn said, if you want to increase your income, income is simply like a ladder. Bring more value. Bring more value. So my question to you is how much value do you bring your benchmark? What is the thing you want to be known for? What is the thing you want to be benchmarked for? What's the thing that you want people to use you as the gold standard? Too many people, the idea of a benchmark is the mark they leave from sitting on the bench all day, all life long. It's time to get up. It's time to move yourself. Here's how you find out. Here's how you remember. Here's how you can uncover this elevated benchmark, this elevated standard that you can now hold yourself to. Write down some things you're good at. Some of you, this triggers your amygdala, your fight or flight or freeze, right? It triggers your amygdala and it says, you're not good enough. You're not a benchmark. Yes, you are. You have the capability and the capacity to set the new standard. First of all, there's only one of you in the world that's ever existed, that will ever be. You're the only one. How do you elevate? And this is where the old story, addiction to approval, comes in. How many of you know, listen carefully, how many of you know someone, drop a K in the chat for knowing them. How many of you know somebody who has established their benchmark based upon what other people have said about them? Drop a K in the chat if you know somebody who has established their own personal benchmark, their limitation based upon what others have said about them. That, my friends, is called addiction to approval. That is called addiction to approval. That's why it's so valuable and important to understand that philosophy, understand that change, understand that state of mind that can cause you to be stuck, locked in. First of all, begin to look at where your heart pulls you, where your thoughts drag you, where your wants and wishes hope that you show up to. Give yourself some space. Give yourself some space and check your physiology when you think about a goal that you want. Do you get a little tingly inside? Do you get a little nervous inside? Do you get a little bit of, oh my gosh, if that happened, that would be so amazing. Well, the way that it can happen, the way that it will happen is you've got to establish something first. What if you became the benchmark of gratitude? You look at Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was the benchmark of gratitude. Took a vow of poverty, right? Vow of poverty. Most people don't know how wealthy she was. And when I say wealthy, she asked for it. How many of you would consider wealth when you ask for something, it instantly shows up? or within reason. But anytime you ask for something, it arrives, it shows up. Would you say that's wealthy? If you asked for a building or for a plane or for a car or for an audience and it happened, wouldn't you say that's wealthy? Mother Teresa had the ability to travel the globe. I don't know that she ever paid for a ticket. I think it was rare that she flew on traditional transport. There were typically 4 to 5 jets that lit up anytime she landed in any place of the world. They kind of followed her based upon where she wanted to go next. Nobody knew where she wanted to go next. So there were long haul jets and there were short haul jets. And she could get on one based upon where she wanted to go. And she didn't know. She would just walk up the steps. They would close the door, the cabin door, and they would take off and she would arrive at her place. My question to you is this. What if you were the benchmark for questions? What if you were the benchmark for answers? What if all of a sudden, anytime you posed a question, the universe did its best to solve that question, to answer that question, to bring the solution to that question instantly, if not faster? It's going to take some skills and capabilities and some desires and wants and wishes. And the way you get there is to remind yourself how good you are. Some of us have forgotten how good we are. Some of us have forgotten how much joy we bring into the world. Right? There's a meme that's out there, an audio that's out there. Don't be surprised of how big a hole you would leave when you're gone. Some of you would leave a huge gap in people's lives, and you've forgotten that. Maybe you're not even aware of it. So this idea of you becoming the benchmark for your age, for your community, for your gender, for your title, best mom, best dad, best sister, brother, aunt, uncle, cousin, best networker, best trader, best. When you narrow your niche, you have the space to become brilliant. When you narrow your niche, you have the space to become excellent. Narrow your focus so you can have more of what you want, less of what you don't. Decide, definite major purpose, Napoleon Hill. Decide what it is you're going to do. Wallace D. Wattles. It's not about doing certain things. It's about doing things in a certain way. Wayne Dyer, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. There you go. I'm your head brain training, brain scrambling, focusing on your benchmark misfit. I'll see y'all where? I'll see you at the next event. Till then, bye for now. And YouTube, love you bunches. Appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.